Hi, this is Tor from IDCON, and this is part number 6 in how to document a cost-effective preventive maintenance system. Last time we collected all the information we needed and we headed out to the plant. So we're back from the plant and we have collected the information that we talked about. So let's go through what we found. So you see the hydraulic unit here, and you also see the collected information, and let's go through it. You see the unit here in front has a motor. You see the first row, I have the equipment number, of course, and it's route number 1. It's the first thing I want to check, and it's in-feed hydraulic is the name of this equipment. I have to look that up in the CMMS. It wasn't labeled in the field, I just had the number. And then I went out to look, and I see the first thing I get to is that motor AC. So I write down, in the components, I write down motor AC. And I actually take down the RPM because I know that I want to inspect this motor, and with my stroboscope I can check the air fins and I can check the coupling. This one I can't get to, but if I could get to the coupling, I can just set my stroboscope right there at 1780. I don't have to play around with it, save some time. And then the next thing I see is a coupling. We looked at it with a stroboscope. We can kind of peek in there a little bit, and it looks like a Lovejoy coupling in there. But again, you see the comments is I can't see it. I can't really inspect that because it's completely covered by the guard. So I say can't see it, which means I have two options. What am I going to do for PM? Well, I would like to take a stroboscope on it and look at it while it's running. It would be the most efficient way, but somebody has covered this completely. So I'm probably going to have to do that on the shutdown, or I'm going to have to say that I'm just going to operate this to breakdown. That's another way to do that. So we need to decide how to do that on the PM later on. For now, I just write down there's a coupling Lovejoy, and then there's a pump, and wasn't sure 100%, but we're guessing that's a gear pump. We'll go in and look at it in the CMMS and see if that information is there. Typically it's not, just typically says hydraulic pump. And then you see on the sheet we have number 2 pump. That's the one you see behind it. The same thing, motor, coupling, and the pump. And then there's another recirculation. You don't see that, but there's actually motor, coupling, and pump in between the 2 motors. So we wrote those down. So we're up to 9 components now. And then you see that little funky thing in the back. It's a bit unusual, but it's kind of air-cooled heat exchanger, because the hydraulic oil goes in there and it's cooled with those 2 fans in the heat exchanger. So that we have 2 motors, as you see. It's a motor, east motor, and then it's a fan, just an actual fan, and then it's a motor, the west one, and then that's a fan. And then we have the actual heat exchanger itself. Then on top of this, we have hoses and connections. I just put that as a component because there's a bunch of them, but I'm just going to clump them all together. And then I have the hydraulic tank. I've broken this into 16 different components, and I've covered this hydraulic unit. Now I have good information, and it's absolutely critical that we go out in the field and look at this piece of equipment. I see some trying to write the PMs from a desk just from the information that's in the CMMS, and that's typically a mistake because we don't find, we don't know if the couplings are covered like we saw. We don't know the RPM of the motors are typically not there. We probably don't even know which type of coupling it is or what type of pump. So there's information that we need to go out and plan this PM, go out looking at the equipment. And that's what I like to write it down with these clipboards, so I get the information in the order I would like to have it. Let's talk about component. So what is a component? Well, we here at IDCON has used the word component, and it could be argued if this is the right word or not, but it's something that's highly repetitive for preventive maintenance purposes. So for example, that motor has several components or machine elements, whatever you want to call it, inside it, of course, but it's a highly repetitive unit that we see a lot in paper mills, refineries, mines, whatever it is. We see AC motors, and it's a unit that is reoccurring. So if I write a PM for that AC motor, what do I need to do on the run? What do I need to do on a shutdown, lubrication? We can have a standard, and I can just apply it over and over again. In some cases, we may have to do some research that motor is specific. There's it's different RPM. We need to inspect it more often, or it can be that it's in a strange location, very wet or very hot. So and it may change things. But in general, there's a number of inspections we always want to do to a motor, and we can kind of put them together. Same thing with a coupling. If I can see the coupling, I want to take a stroboscope and look at the coupling. If I can't, I have to make a decision either to modify the guard, or I'm going to have to do typically a shutdown inspections and take time and pull it apart and look at it, or just let it run to breakdown. Same thing with that gear pump. It's a very highly repetitive. The hydraulic tank, there's some breathers on it, always breathers and filters on the tank, so we can get that as a standard. So we have done here at IDCOM, we have gone through, and you'll see here in our a little advertising, right? Our book, Condition Monitoring Standards. So we probably have about 200 of these, but we're selling right now about 100 that we have that we can sell. And these documents, if we take the AC motor, for example, it's a short description of how it works, and then you'll see the inspections on the left-hand side, the keywords, and this kind of reminder, and those keywords goes into the route or the PM, so people remember what to look for, a little checklist. And then there's a description how to inspect it, and then why you inspect it. And we have done this for, like I said, when we do our PM projects where we do it as a service. Our guys probably have 200 or 250 of these standard components for different industries, but we're selling the 100, and we have the document, which is a teaching document, but we also have the instructions that goes into the CMS, MMS, or the route software, whatever you use. I suggest you create a database where you have these standard components and basically say motor AC, what do I typically do on the run, what I typically do on the shutdown, and you have a basis for applying to all your equipment. And then you can refine it a little bit depending on where that motor is, if there's something different with it, or the pump, if there's something special with that pump. But that's what we're doing, and we've been out in the field and we have our components, and that's it for this time. And I appreciate you listening, and I hope you subscribe and push the little bell, please, because that will give you reminders when we have a new video. We typically have one every week. Thank you.